Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the NOMOS Glashütte Minimatik 39 date blue reference 1252. This watch is available from nomosglashütte.com for €2,680. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a solid wooden watch box which is protected in shipping by this black fabric dust bag which has a drawstring at one end. This is the watch box itself, made from black poplar wood, solid wood, and on the top of the lid we've got the NOMOS Glashütte logo in metallic blue, which is very aesthetically pleasing. Nice grained finish to the black poplar wood. Usually NOMOS Glashütte watches are supplied in genuine black leather cases. This is the first time I've seen a black poplar wood watch box. And steel hardware, as you can see, we have two steel hinges, and there's also a steel lock mechanism, so you push the button and that releases the lock. Very aesthetically pleasing, but I think they could enhance it further by upholstering the base with a black felt material, because that would prevent it from scuffing and scratching a lacquered or polished desktop or tabletop, and it would also prevent it from sliding around. So they could add felt to the base, but other than that it's very well finished and just beautiful to look at. So one presses the steel lock pusher, and inside the hinge lid, on the underside it's fully upholstered with a black velour fabric to a good standard. We have an elasticated strap securing the warranty card, and in the base we also have two elasticated straps which secure the watch from moving around inside the watch box. The base is also upholstered with black velour fabric to a good standard, so good presentation. So inside the base we have a branded microfiber polishing cloth. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth irrespective of the price point of a piece. And in the underside of the lid we have this cardboard envelope which is branded with NOMOS Glashütte, and inside it houses the plastic warranty card which I'll show you. So on the front of the warranty card we have the reference number for the piece, serial number, and reference of the calibre, which is the NOMOS Glashütte calibre DUW 4601 mechanical manual wind movement. One can scan the QR code on the front or the reverse with your Android or iPhone. That will activate the 2-year international warranty from the date of purchase, and also download the owner's instruction manual with clear concise diagrams, instructions in English and also German, it's bilingual, detailing the operation of the calibre used, which is the NOMOS Glashütte calibre DUW 4601. There's also space on the reverse for the authorised dealer to stamp it, fill in the date of purchase and sign it. I want to give due credit to NOMOS Glashütte here, because often mid-tier brands only cover their watches with a 12-month international warranty. To get 2 years of international warranty at this mid-tier price point of €2,680 is excellent, and NOMOS Glashütte deserve full credit for that. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 39.5mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 47.7mm, a thickness of 7.9mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The genuine Horween shell cordovan strap is black leather, and it tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the buckle and tang. Solid 316L grade stainless steel buckle and tang, flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks, no sharp edges, no burrs, doesn't have sharp corners, and it's engraved with high definition engraving with a NOMOS text logo. Nice heavy gauge to it. Quality of the finishing is high tier level. So to put the buckle and tang and the genuine Horween shell cordovan strap into perspective, this is the kind of strap and buckle and tang one would expect to see on a high tier piece costing €10,000 plus. So to clarify, mid tier is €5,000 to €10,000 price point, high tier is €10,000 plus price point. This is definitely the kind of genuine Horween shell cordovan strap one would expect to see on a high tier €10,000 plus price point piece. We have a double dome sapphire crystal with double AR coating. So to clarify, NOMOS Glashütte used double AR coating versus single, so they add AR coating to the top side and also the underside of the double dome sapphire crystal. The benefit of that is the double AR coating reduces the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver mirror polished handset. The hands are rhodium plated to perfection, they're highly reflective, but the legibility, the clarity and proportions are correct. We've got a matte navy blue dial, which is like midnight blue, and it contrasts very well with the silver Arabic numerals, silver minute ticks on the chapter ring. The Arabic numerals on the chapter ring are high definition and crisp, the font isn't too thick and blurry, legibility is excellent. Good symmetry to the dial. Of course it's an asymmetrical dial versus symmetrical because we have the date complication at 3 o'clock. Just bear with me, I'll move the minute hand out of the way and you'll see it better. The Date complication is framed in gilt, and you can see it's oversized, and the benefit of it being an oversized date complication is the date window is enlarged. The Arabic numerals, which are silver on the black dates wheel, are also enlarged, and this means the legibility is enhanced. This is pure Bauhaus design personified. The dial layouts, the Arabic numerals, are pure Bauhaus. The subdial at 6, the symmetry of the dial, the handset design, and everything about this totally captures the essence of Bauhaus design. It's minimalist, it's clean, the dial is not over-branded with unnecessary text or specification. For example, we just have NOMOS Glashütte at 12 o'clock, and then either side of the 6 o'clock index we have made in Germany, because NOMOS Glashütte and their in-house calibers, such as the DUW 4601 used in this piece, are made in Glashütte in Germany. But you can see just how clean the dial is. Everything on the dial is functional, it serves a purpose, the legibility is good, the functionality is good, the clarity is good. Double AR coating really enhances it, as you can see, and I really like the shape of the rhodium plated handset, and also the gilt framing around the date complication adds interest to it rather than it just being monochrome, navy blue dial with silver printing on the dial and silver handset. The gilt really does add some interest to it. So, the case is solid 316L grade stainless steel. Every facet of the case is mirror polished to perfection. This is some of the best mirror polishing I have ever seen on a piece. Regardless of the price point, I have reviewed over 500 watches on my channel. To clarify, this is the kind of mirror polishing one expects to see on a high-tier piece costing €10,000+ price point. This is a mid-tier piece costing €2,680, and you can see the mirror polishing is absolutely flawless. In between the lugs is also polished to the same flawless standard as the top of the lugs, the flanks and the exhibition case back. When I'm looking at a mirror polished case with a mid-tier piece, the first area I look at is in between the lugs, because this is often an area that mid-tier microbrands use to cut production costs. For example, they'll simply mill or they'll brush satin finish in between the lugs. They don't mirror polish in between the lugs to the same standard as the bezel, the case back or the flanks, because it's not as visible where the strap fits to the head of the piece. But NOMOS Glashütte deserve credit, because the mirror polishing in between the lugs is done to the exact same standard as the top of the lugs, the flanks and also the exhibition case back. Every facet of this case is finished to high tier level. Absolutely gorgeous. Lovely thin profile to the flanks, and one thing I like about this piece above all else is how thin it is. It is only 7.9mm, which is just incredible. Let's look at the crown in detail. So, solid 316L grade stainless steel crown, coin edge finished, correctly proportioned. It doesn't stick too proud from the right hand flank of the case. It is large enough to be grippy and tactile with one's index finger and thumb, so it's easy to get good purchase on it. And mirror polished domed cap to it, and as you can see, it's engraved with high definition engraving with the NOMOS text logo. So, as it's a push-pull crown versus a screw-down crown, in the closed position, one can manually wind the NOMOS Glashütte caliber DUW 4601 mechanical movement. It feels fantastic to manually wind, really smooth. It's one of the smoothest manual wind movements I've experienced. Just so refined. You can feel the meshing of the gearing is precise, it's fine. The build quality, quality control, tolerances, materials and finishing are stellar. And you can really feel the refinement because there is no friction in the gearing whatsoever. You can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up, but it doesn't feel rough or gritty to manually wind. It feels very smooth, very refined. Absolute pleasure to manually wind, and the tension builds up very quickly. You can feel it build up to its maximum 52-hour power reserve very quickly. There's a lot of tension in the mainspring, but it feels very smooth. 40 full clockwise turns is enough to fully wind it to its maximum 52-hour power reserve when the mainspring is fully unwound and exhausted, and it's excellent to manually wind. Very pleasant. Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication, and when you rotate the crown anti-clockwise it advances the quick set date. There's something I really like about this caliber, the DUW 4601. It's got a really heavy clicking mechanism. Just bear with me, I'll move the minute hand out of the way and you'll see it better. So if you look at the date window, which is framed in gilt, when you click over to the next date, you can feel the clicking sensation. It feels very heavy. So to put it into perspective, it feels much heavier. The indexing of the quick set date feels much heavier, more solid. It's got a loud audible click, and you can also feel the heavy click on the crown. When you rotate it, it feels solid. The alignment is perfectly correct. the double and the single Arabic numerals in the gilt framed window. They're not too high or too low and too far to the left or the right. So they've centralised it, and they've also got the horizontal alignment correct, because the Arabic numerals are oversized, but they're not too large in the date window. Perfect alignment, and I really like the feeling of it. So when you rotate it anti-clockwise, it clicks over with this nice, heavy, loud, audible click. You can feel it, you can also hear it. And it feels heavier than a Sellita SW200-1 or an ETA 2824-2. And I really like the solid feeling of it. Sounds good, feels good. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's refined. Pulling it out to second click position hacks the movement. If you look at the second subdial hand, you can see it's now stopped dead. So therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with a caliber DUW4601. So we're now in the time setting position. Feels silky smooth. Clockwise and anti-clockwise, minimal friction to the 23 joules in the movement, and I really like the feeling of it. Very low friction. It just feels so refined. You can really feel the gearing, the teeth meshing to perfection. The machining, the tolerances, the build quality, the finishing are there. Just feels so smooth. It's one of the most pleasant mechanical manual wind movements I've experienced in terms of smoothness, in terms of refinement. Hacking works well, hand winding works well, feels smooth, setting the date has a nice positive heavy click, and even setting the time. Just the smoothness of it is what really impresses me. The other thing I like about it is there's minimal back play, feels nice and tight, so when you rotate the crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, there's an almost immediate response to the rhodium plated minute hand. You don't have to take up a lot of slack. The meshing of the gearing feels nice and tight. Some backplay is necessary. There is a mechanical reason for it, because if it didn't have some backplay in the gearing, when you push back in the crown, what would happen is the minute hand would jump out of position. So it does need some slight slack in between the teeth of the gearing, and they've perfected it because it's got just the right amount of slack. When you push back in the crown, it's got a nice positive click, but the minute hand does not jump out of position. So the meshing feels tight, feels refined, but the minute hand, you can set it bang on the minutes, on the minute tick, so it doesn't move out of position. It just feels really good. When you push it back in, it's got this really heavy positive click. It's loud, it's audible, and it provides 50 metres of hermetic seal. One doesn't need a screw-down crown with 100 metres of hermetic seal for a daily wear piece or a dress piece. NOMOS Glashütte described this as a dress piece, but really at 39.5 it could also be worn as a daily wear piece as well as a dress piece. It's a very versatile size, 39.5 for all wrist sizes. Crown execution is fantastic. I like the proportions of it, I like the feeling of it, it feels grippy and tactile. Setting the time, hacking the movement, quick set date, everything feels refined, it feels pleasant. So let's look at the case back, because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. What we're looking at with this piece is peak NOMOS Glashütte. The brand was founded in 1990, and in the last 25 years, they really have improved the refinement of their pieces, the in-house calibers they're producing in Glashütte, and the watches themselves. This is one of the best casebacks I have seen on a piece in the mid-sit. Now, you can see it's a pressed-on caseback versus a screw-down caseback. So, for example, they could have used 6 flathead screws to screw the caseback down to the head of the piece. Alternatively, they could have used a screw-down caseback. So, why am I not going to be critical of this using a pressed-on caseback? Because it is a mid-tier piece costing €2,680. Because it's necessary. They have used a pressed-on caseback rather than a screw-down caseback to reduce the thickness of this piece down to only 7.9. So just put that into perspective. If this were powered by an automatic caliber with a rotor, it would be 9.9 millimeters. But they've reduced the thickness of this piece, even though it has a double-dome sapphire crystal, which does add some thickness versus a flat sapphire crystal. This is still only 7.9. They've reduced the thickness of this piece by 2 millimeters. If they used an automatic, it would be 9.9, which is impressive, but this is only 7.9. It's incredibly thin. And in order to do that, in order to reduce the thickness, one of the things they have to do is use a pressed-on caseback. Had they used a screwed-down caseback with 6 flathead screws or a screw-down caseback, that would mean a thicker stainless steel portion is necessary, because we would have to have an internal thread on the stainless steel portion of the exhibition caseback, and inside the case we'd also have to have the thread cut, and that would mean a thicker portion needed. But just look how flat this caseback is. It's glazed with sapphire crystal. Often mid-tier microbrands use the cost-cutting measure of mineral crystal glazing in exhibition casebacks, and strictly speaking one doesn't have to be critical of that because the exhibition caseback doesn't need sapphire crystal. It's not an area that's prone to being scuffed and scratched as per the front of a piece. But NOMOS Glashütte do not use any production cost-cutting measures. This has sapphire crystal in the front, sapphire crystal glazing in the back. But just look how flat the sapphire crystal is, and what they've done is they've oversized the diameter. The stainless steel portion is minimal. We've got very large diameter glazing with the sapphire crystal. So it does an excellent job of displaying the arabesque finishing on the movement. It's an absolute gorgeous movement to look at. But the benefit of having this really large diameter sapphire crystal with a minimum portion of stainless steel is it enhances the comfort level and the feel good factor. When you're wearing this on wrist for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, it feels very smooth. But the other benefit is the case back is perfectly flat in the centre because it has sapphire crystal glazing, as you can see, which is very large diameter. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus. I'll put my glove behind it. There you are. So you can see just how flat it is. This is not a deep bubble back case back one would see on an automatic piece. This is the benefit of it being powered by a manual wind mechanical movement versus an automatic with a rotor. It's one of the thinnest case backs I have ever seen on a piece. It's fantastic. There's minimal clearance beneath the sapphire crystal to the bridges of the movements. You can see just how flat it is, just how close. When you look at it straight on, it looks invisible. It looks like you're looking directly at the movements without any sapphire crystal. It looks invisible, and it is an absolute delight to look at the arabesque finishing, the way it catches the light. Very comfortable case back against the wrist, very flat, very low profile. One could be subjectively critical and say, well, it only provides 50 metres of hermetic seal versus a screw-down caseback with 100 metres. But this is a daily wear piece or a dress piece, therefore it does not need 100 metres. 50 metres is perfectly acceptable for a daily wear or dress piece. The quality of the mirror polishing to the stainless steel portion is perfection personified. This is the kind of mirror polishing to the caseback one expects to see on a high-tier piece costing €10,000+. Mirror polishing to the undercuts to the flanks is excellent. No sharp edges, no burrs. The four corners to the tips of the lugs have been deburred and chamfered very well. No sharp edges to any facet of the head of the piece, the case back. It's just absolutely gorgeous finishing. And they've made the correct decision by using an exhibition case back versus a solid stainless steel case back because it does an outstanding job of displaying the caliber DUW 4601. So let's look at the strap in detail. Again, what we're looking at here is correct decision after correct decision. This really is a stellar piece. We're looking at peak NOMOS Glashütte here because they have not cut any corners whatsoever. For example, often mid-tier micro brands will use the production cost cutting measure of using an inexpensive or lower grade genuine leather strap, and that reduces production cost per piece and therefore maximises profit margin per piece. NOMOS Glashütte do not cut production costs in order to maximise profit margin. This is one of the highest grade genuine Horween shell cordovan leather straps I have reviewed on my channel. Beautiful matte sheen to it, flawless stitching around the perimeter. There's plenty of holes in it to allow for fine tuning the length from a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist. The thing I really like about genuine Horween shell cordovan straps above all else is how soft and supple they are. Unlike other leather straps which require breaking in with daily wear to become soft and supple, with a genuine Horween shell cordovan strap which is tanned in Chicago, they are immediately soft and supple. They feel like a leather strap which has been worn daily for years, because after you wear a strap daily for years, they break in. They become very soft and supple. And this is the effect you get with Horween shell cordovan leather. It is immediately soft and supple. It is thick. It does taper in thickness from the spring bar end down to the buckle and tang end. It's got a slight taper, and it also tapers from 20 millimeters down to the buckle and tang in width. But despite it being thick, it's very soft and supple. The other thing I really like about it is it has the most gorgeous scent of the leather. It smells fantastic. So looks good, feels good, smells fantastic. It's got this lovely leather scent. The underside is lined with contrasting green. As you can see, the liner has a matte finish to it. It's very smooth and comfortable, and it's embossed with NOMOS Glashütte. Flawless stitching around the perimeter. Standard spring bars. Now, they could further enhance this if they upgraded it to quick release stainless steel spring bars, because that would negate the need for a spring bar tool. The reason why I say it would be beneficial is because often with these thick Horween leather straps, they can be quite difficult to compress with a spring bar tool without scuffing and scratching the mirror polishing to the lugs. So there's a risk of scuffing and scratching the lugs, but of course one can negate that risk by using Kapton polyamide tape, which I've often used in my bracelet resizing video, for example. Kapton polyamide tape is very good for putting on lugs, and that prevents you scuffing and scratching the mirror polishing. But however, stainless steel quick release spring bars would benefit this strap because it would negate the need for a spring bar tool in the absence of pierced lugs or holes in the lugs. But however, finishing is stellar. This is high grade. To put it into perspective, it's as good as the very best of Hirsch straps, which are made in Austria from calf leather. As you can see on the other side, it's embossed with shell cordovan, handmade. So the shell cordovan leather is tanned in Chicago and the straps are handmade. Just fantastic. We've got two keepers which are correctly proportioned. The first keeper is fixed, the second keeper slides. Flawless stitching around the perimeter. I love the matte sheen to it. They've made a correct decision here by not making it glossy finish as per a dress piece, because this makes the strap versatile. You can wear this as a daily wear piece or alternatively a dress piece, but the matte finish complements the matte finish to the midnight blue or navy blue dial. If the dial were glossy enamel finish, I would say yes, a glossy black strap would complement it, but matte finish dial should be matte finish strap to match. Very soft and supple strap, absolutely gorgeous. Scent of it is just delightful. Right, so I'll give you wrist shots and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, the thing I like about this piece, as I've detailed, is how low profile it is. Now, negatively, one could be critical subjectively of the strap being a fraction short, because as you can see, I could just engage it in the first fixed keeper, but it's half an inch too short for the second keeper. But however, I'm not going to be critical of it, because for the majority of collectors with a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist, this genuine Halloween shell cordovan strap will fit. There are enough holes in it to fit from a minimum 6 up to a maximum 7.5. As you can see, even on my large 8-inch wrist, there is one spare hole. So if it were just half an inch longer, it would fit up to an 8-inch. 7.5 is the maximum. Very comfortable strap, immediately soft and supple. Above all else, the one thing I really like about this piece is how thin it is. It is incredibly thin for a manual wind piece. 7.9mm. Just to look how low profile the undercut to the flank is. Often NOMOS Glashütte pieces have straight angular lugs. It's a design element. For example, on the tangent, they have very long straight lugs with angular profiles, which of course is Bauhaus and it is brutalist design. So one isn't going to be critical of that. But however, the case of this Minimatik 39 date has nice sweeping curved lugs. And really what we're looking at is peak NOMOS Glashütte. In terms of case design, yes, it is Bauhaus, it's minimalist. But rather than having brutalist angular lugs, it has beautiful curved lugs, rather like a dress piece. And they've got the curvature of the lugs, both the undercuts to the flank of the case and also the top of the lugs, done to perfection. Beautiful taper, and it complements the 20mm lug width. So correctly proportioned, 20 is the correct lug width. For example, had they used an 18mm lug width on this 39.5, the strap would have looked undersized, the lugs would have looked too close together. 20mm lug width is perfect. It's a compact case. 47.7. Now, you'll know from my previous reviews, 48mm is the sweet spots, regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist, respectively. At 47.7, it's just 0.3mm below the perfect sweet spot. So, NOMOS Glashütte have perfected the proportions of this head of the piece. 39.5 gives satisfactory wrist presence, regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist, respectively. So 39.5 is good for a daily wear piece, it's good for a dress piece size, but the 47.7 is very close to the 48 perfect lug to lug. So this will fit you regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist. Very nice wrist presence, doesn't dominate the wrist, doesn't feel too large, so could be worn as a dress piece. Now needless to say, this will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. I often refer to the sweet spot as 13mm and below to fit underneath a shirt cuff. At 7.9, this is incredibly thin. This is the benefit of the exhibition case back being pressed on and so flat and thin. Just look how snug the fit is. The undercut to the flank of the case has no gap whatsoever. The curvature of the lugs wraps around the wrist very well. It doesn't have a large gap as per the tangent, which has angular lugs. So this is one of the best NOMOS Glashütte cases they have ever made. They really have reached perfection with the case shape. The double dome sapphire crystal has a very low dome, it's almost flat, and again what we're looking at here is correct decision after correct decision, because had they used a box top hat crystal, it would have added 2mm of thickness to the piece. They could have used a flat sapphire crystal, but it's really not necessary to use a flat sapphire crystal to reduce the thickness further. 7.9 is already stellar, so they do not need to reduce it by a further millimetre. You can see it's got a nice large bevel which projects above the top of the head of the piece, and that catches the light. Very low profile double dome sapphire crystal, and of course we've got the benefit of the double AR coating, which reduces the reflection of the rhodium plated hands. Fantastic looking piece. I love the midnight blue tone to it, and the navy blue midnight blue dial has a lovely matte finish to it rather than being enamel, which is glossy and would be very shiny, or a sunburst pattern to it. So case is fantastic. Feel good factor and comfort level of this piece are fantastic. The other thing I really like about it is the lack of heft. This is only 51 grams, which is incredible. 51 grams is the kind of lack of heft one would expect with a quartz powered piece, not a mechanical manual wine piece. So at 51 grams, this feels weightless on wrist. It feels invisible. The shell cordovan strap is just fantastic. It's soft, it's supple, it looks good, feels good, taper is good, and I absolutely love the scent of it, but it's got this nice sheen to it. And it's so soft and supple, it immediately feels like it's broken in, like a strap you've worn for years, and everything about it, it just looks good, feels good. The midnight blue tone of the dial is fantastic. The silver printing of the Arabic numerals is very aesthetically pleasing, but also legible. Silver hands contrast very well. I love the low dome to the double dome sapphire crystal. Case is mirror polished to high tier level, and the Horween shell cordovan strap is just fantastic. So correct decision after correct decision. Case shape is really, I would say, one of the very best NOMOS Glashütte cases they've ever made. They've been making watches since 1990, and in the last 25 years this really is peak NOMOS Glashütte. So let's look at the movement in detail. So, as you can see, this is finished with arabesque finishing. The NOMOS Glashütte caliber DUW 4601 is a manual wind mechanical movement, and it's made in-house by NOMOS Glashütte. Unlike other mid-tier microbrands, such as German microbrands, they do not buy in their movements from Sellita and ETA respectively. They make their calibers in-house. So this watch is entirely made by NOMOS Glashütte in Germany, and the caliber, the DUW 4601, is also made in Glashütte. It has 23 joules. Hand winding and hacking are useful complications. It runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. Quick set date complication works well, as I've demonstrated, and it has a very impressive 52-hour power reserve. So just put that into perspective. Often mechanical manual wind movements only have a 40-hour power reserve. This has 52 hours, which is excellent. It's regulated in 6 positions to chronometer accuracy, which is -4 to +6. So to put this into perspective, usually chronometer movements are regulated in 5 positions. Top grade and chronometer grade is 5 positions. That's industry standard. NOMOS Glashütte go one better. This is regulated in 6 positions, which is the ultimate. This one is running consistently at +2 seconds per day when it's fully wound to its maximum 52-hour power reserve. So, accurate movement, +2. It's chronometer grade, regulated in 6 positions. Now, with regards to the finishing, it's absolutely stellar. The arabesque finishing is some of the best arabesque finishing I have ever seen on the bridges to a movement. The only time I've seen arabesque finishing to this level is on Omega movements, as used in the Seamaster, for example. That is the level of arabesque finishing. It is fantastic. This is the kind of arabesque finishing on the main plate and the half plate of the movement one would expect to see on a high-tier piece costing €10,000+. Blued screws add interest to the decoration. Also, the half plate is engraved and infilled with gold plating to the engraving, and it's also rhodium plated. Both the main plate and the half plate are rhodium plated. Below the balance wheel is also pelage finished, and the pelage finishing is high definition. It's some of the best pelage finishing. So to put this into perspective, if this piece were Swiss made and this caliber were Swiss made in-house, one would expect the price point of this piece to be €10,000+, but this is not €10,000+, it is €2,680. The movement is technically excellent. Hand winding, hacking, quick set dates, accuracy are all stellar. 52-hour power reserve is stronger specification, and you can see it's got a skeletonized balance cock, and it's just fantastic. It's just incredible. Everything about it. The finishing is stellar. Quality of the engraving is high definition and crisp. The inlay of the engraving with gold plating and the rhodium plating to it, blued screws, everything about it is finished to perfection. It's a very thin movement. Now, the benefit of this being mechanical manual wind versus automatic with a rotor is how thin the calibre is, and as I've detailed, the overall benefit is they've been able to slim this piece down to only 7.9 millimeters. So if this had an automatic, it would be 9.9. It would be 2 millimeters thicker because of the clearance of the rotor needed and the deeper case back needed. This has a very flat case back, as I've detailed. Benefit is feel good factor, comfort level are enhanced, but even with a double dome sapphire crystal, which adds thickness, versus a flat sapphire crystal, 7.9. This is one of the thinnest mechanical manual wind movement pieces I have reviewed on my channel. 7.9 is like a quartz powered piece. That's the thickness. Fantastic. It's only 51 grams, just like a quartz piece. And just look at that movement decoration, the way the light catches the arabesque finishing. It's just fantastic. It's an absolute pleasure to take this watch off wrist and just look through the exhibition case back, through the sapphire crystal glazing, and look at the arabesque finishing, the way it catches the light. It's just mesmerising. One of the greatest looking NOMOS in-house calibers they've made, the DUW 4601, is a masterpiece. And really, this is a 10,000 plus euro price point mechanical wind movement, but it's 2,680. Just mesmerising. So we don't need to do a loom test because there is no loom on the dial and hands, because the dial is printed with silver Arabic numerals and minute ticks on the chapter ring, and the hands are rhodium plated, but there's no superlumen nowhere. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So mid-tier piece, the price point is €2,680. Yes, this is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value at €2,680. What we're looking at here is a high tier level piece. The finishing is stellar. Finishing to the head of the piece, the case back, the dial execution, the rhodium plating to the handset, the decoration of the movements are all stellar. Everything about this piece says to me 10,000 plus euro price point finishing. The decoration to the movement, which is technically excellent. It's just stellar. Even down to the genuine Horween shell cordovan strap. This is a high grade strap, kind of strap one would expect to see on a 10,000 plus euro price point piece. There are no cost cutting measures to this piece whatsoever. NOMOS Glashütte deserve credit because unlike many mid-tier microbrands, they have not used production cost-cutting measures in order to maximise profit margin per piece. The value of this piece is stellar. The quality of this piece is stellar. No negatives to it whatsoever. It's very unusual for me to review a piece on my channel and not to find some negatives, something I would like to change, some QC issues, some defects, things that could be enhanced or refined. This piece is fully refined. We are looking at peak NOMOS Glashütte. This is one of the very best pieces they've made in the last 25 years since their foundation in 1990. One of the very best NOMOS Glashüttes ever made. The Minimatik 39 date blue reference 1252 is a masterpiece. It's pure Bauhaus design personified. So I'm going to highly recommend it to your consideration. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the NOMOS Glashütte Minimatik 39 date blue reference 1252. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.